This is the Codcast. All things Whitby Town FC.
Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Andrew Snaith. I'm very pleased to say I'm joined by Paul Connolly and Liam Ryder from the Whitby Town media team, and they were also on the mic for Saturday's game, the home match against Hyde.
Dawson and McGinley now turns on the ball. Back to Dawson, just in from the left-hand touchline. Chips it forward, looking for Charles there, takes it on his chest. Nice ball, Charles shoots on the turn! Dick Charles opens the scoring for Whitby Town! A lovely ball forward from Harley Dawson. Dick Charles took it on his chest, shot on the turn, and that's the start Whitby needed, Liam.
Well, I know my colleagues from Hyde alluded to they like a slow start, as do Whitby, but this time it's Whitby that have done well. I mean, really, the first shot of the match, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, good on the turn from Jake Charles, isn't it? And then to the keeper doing better. Not particularly bothered though. No. We've got the lead. Very similar to what he scored against Russia earlier in the season.
Into the penalty area, chipped it towards the back post, looking for Dawson, heads it back across there, off the post, it shoots there, saved by Stowell. Danger hasn't cleared here for Hyde, as they're a bit 6s and 7s, but they do get rid of it in the end. It's Duxbury now, sending it forward, but Watts just gets his head on it, and wanting a free kick there, with nothing given as Owolabi moves it into Dante Gabardon in from the right-hand side, heads towards the penalty area now, Dante Gabardon, more towards the byline, low ball across there, and Owolabi turns it home. It was Gabardon, too easy. He didn't have any challenge on the ball there. Low ball across, and then
jogging back.
Owolabi just easy enough to tap it home.
That was the best of Saturday's 1-0 draw with Hyde at the Tobar Express Stadium. Commentary from Liam Ryder and Paul Connolly of the Whitby Town media team. They're both joining me now. Paul, just a few days on from that, I mean, does it feel like a point gained or 2 lost?
I think at this point, obviously, you want to win every game you can, but it could well be a very, very vital point for Whitby come a couple of weeks' time. We'll just have to see on that one. I think probably the course of the game probably warranted a draw. It was one of those that it wasn't the best game of football, but ultimately it was a big improvement on the Monday outing against Morpeth. Which, to be fair, couldn't have been a great deal worse. But it was certainly much more improved. We got ourselves right out of the blocks. A great finish from Jake Charles and a word for the ball over from Harley Dawson as well, which was outstanding. Then obviously concede a bit of a disappointing, sloppy goal. But after that, I thought we dug in well. I thought we battled well. The lads gave a very good account of themselves, and obviously after that goal, I thought we defended pretty well. We limited Hyde to just the one shot for Shane Bland to save, which I think he'll have been grateful of, considering he was pretty much played on one leg for a good hour of that game. It's one of those, you can probably look at it both ways in terms of your home games, you want to win them. But ultimately, it could be a vital point come the end of the season, although we would have wanted all 3.
It moved from 1 point adrift after the Monday debacle at Morpeth to 3 points now, and certainly gives us a very good fighting chance, especially with the negativity, I think, that followed Monday's result. One person who was pretty downcast after that game was the joint manager at Whitby Town, Lee Bullock, and he caught up with Liam after the final whistle on Saturday.
Well, Bully, you questioned quite a few elements of that performance at Morpeth Town on Monday, but this afternoon, a 1-0 draw against another relegation rival in Hyde United, more positive result, that 1-0 draw.
A more positive performance, yeah, a point that might be a valuable point. I just said to them there, like, everything that we didn't do on Saturday, at least we've seen it today there. First half, I thought we played well, played some nice football, we had a really good start, good goal. We got into some lovely areas, some nice balls across the box. We've hit the post. Charlo's just had one cleared off the line, and then we switch off as we normally do. We had the opportunity to cross the break on us, and before you know it, the ball's in the back of our net. And then the end of the first half, 50-50. Second half, was horrible, wasn't it? It was just a battle into the wind. But we could have buckled. Last week we would have buckled. We did buckle. So they stood strong there. And I think Shane obviously is struggling big time. And we restricted them to one shot. They've had one shot from a free kick. And he's caught a couple of crosses. So defensively as a team, they worked ever so hard. Not enough moments again going forward. But then again, we've probably had the best chance of the second half. And Harrow's gone brilliant play to go through. So good. Beats his man. Gets a great shot off and the keeper's made a really good save, and then Jace nearly makes himself the hero and the keeper saves a rebound. But I think a point was what both teams deserved there, and it was, like you say, a big improvement on Monday, but we're going to need another big improvement on Saturday coming.
Yeah, and you know, the elements of the performance, I guess you see it early on, don't you? And the goal this time was Whitby benefited from the early strike 5 minutes in, but you could see straight away, you know, that intent, and you know, it did appear that they'd definitely taken heed of what you said on Monday.
Yeah, I think there was good performances all over the pitch, not like joy to watch football performances, good hard work and effort and endeavour and just doing everything that people expect, and this level, that's one of the massive requirements, and we didn't have it at Morpeth. That's why we got battered. Today, when you turn up and you compete, you've always got a chance. And like I say, we've created some good chances. On another day, one of them goes in, where Harley's hit the post with the header, suddenly we're 2-0 up, but it doesn't. And we're hanging second half, we're hoping that we can nick something. And on the back of a good battling display. So yeah, a good point, hopefully, in the end, in the grand scheme of things. Neither team didn't want to lose at the end, you could see that, and big game Saturday now.
Yeah, and I guess really, you know, on the back of that really bright start, like you referenced there, just, you know, the manner of the equaliser, it's sort of just been typical of Whitby, hasn't it? That's the only downside.
That was my concern at half time. That was, we switch off. We've done it a couple of times afterwards. We'll get a corner. We should score from the deliveries. The deliveries are spot on. Their keeper gets hold of it, and we all just, it's almost like heads down, walk back, and they broke fast on us a couple of times. So at half times, if we don't switch on, lads, quickly out of possession, they will punish us down the sides. They have done, because they've scored, and they will do. So I think that point of view second half was much better, and then we had lads dying on their feet in different positions than they normally would, and they just dug in. So yeah, I'll keep going back to it. Probably a valuable point. Not what we wanted, but it's better than Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, the next best thing isn't if you don't lose. You know, if you can't win it, so don't lose the game. Of course, with that draw there, and you know, with results elsewhere, I know you've got to try and do your own job, but at least it's sort of just, you know, it's another game counted off, and like you say, just, you know, stopping the rot of a few defeats on the bounce, I guess. Yeah,
100%, and we'll have a few extra bodies back next week, so we'll have the bench was quite light today, obviously, same with Jason coming on. He shouldn't be coming on at 40-year-old, but he did for 10 minutes and done well, but we'll have a couple of, hopefully 2, maybe 3 lads back as well next week, so it strengthens us again.
Yeah, and in terms of new personnel as well, welcomed Denny Ingram back to the club this week, and part of your coaching team. I mean, already you can sort of see he's very vocal on that touchline, but what else do you think he'll bring to the squad over the next few weeks?
I know Denny, I've known him a long time. When I was down Monday, very down after that performance, I got on the phone to him and said, "Do you fancy it?" And to be fair to him, he was on holiday, and he's like, "I do," and he drove up the training from his holiday on Thursday, trained with us. Yeah, he's not here to make mates with him. He's here to help us get the 3 points, and yeah, it was a good addition, and someone that knows this level of football, someone that's tough and hard and knows what it needs to win matches. So I said we needed a bit of help on the pitch with bodies, and we needed a bit of help off it in our management team, and I'm happy with the 3 we've got now.
Yeah, and just looking at that game next week, a trip to Leek Town, which a few weeks ago you probably think that would be another 6-pointer. As it goes, they've pulled away, but you know what you expect. They're going to a 3G, chance to play some good football, but hopefully not try to perform as the last time we played on one.
Yeah, just we've had mixed performances on 3Gs. I don't like them, full stop, but we've got to go there. we've got to do what we've done today. Basically, we've got to be really hard to beat and defend for our lives and create the chances that we have and just be confident. All energy, loads of energy, and that was what we had today, second half. We had energy, willingness. We just need it again Saturday.
The Codcast, all things Whitby Town FC.
Lee Bullock speaking to Liam after the draw against Hyde. And of course, one of the changes there in the dugout, Denny Ingram back at the club, former player, back as a coach, vastly experienced. And it felt like he made a little bit of a difference, Paul.
Yeah, I think, well, listen, anyone that knew Denny as a player at Whitby Town will know he was very sort of no-nonsense. It was something I sort of alluded to when I spoke to him on Monday. He was very no-nonsense. He's someone he's a proper winner. He's a born winner. You know, he hates losing games of football. He demands, basically, he demands all the time. He demands everything that he can give, and I think that's something that Whitby needed. And that's not me saying that we didn't have that in sort of Lee Bullock and Jason Kennedy, but he offers a fresh perspective and a fresh pair of eyes, and he'll go about things in a different manner to Bully and JK.
Yeah, Paul mentioned that he spoke with Denny Ingram earlier on this week. Let's hear that interview now.
So, Denny, first of all, welcome back to Whitby Town Football Club. Just initially then, just tell us how the return to the club came about.
Well, firstly, thank you very much. I was away with the family last week, staying up in Newbiggin, just during the Easter holidays. Monday night I was sat, and Bully's interview popped up on Twitter, so I thought I'd give it a listen after seeing the result. And it came across as if, you know, he was a little bit down, shall we say. And it didn't come across as if it had been a positive result or a positive performance. So I just messaged him, see how he was, see what he was going to do next year, if he was staying on at Whitby. And then he just messaged saying, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "Look, potentially looking to try and get back into it at some point. And if it was something that it interested him, I'd be interested to see if it was possible." Pulled me straight up. Obviously, he said that he had to pass it through Jason, which I totally understand. You know, made it very, very clear that, look, not interested in coming in and stepping on anybody's toes, but if I can help in any way, I was open to the opportunity. He phoned me back and said, "Look, would you fancy coming in for the last 3 games, helping us out, different voice, different pair of eyes, and see where it goes from there?" So absolutely jumped on board, went training on Thursday, and then obviously involved in the game on Saturday.
No, good stuff. You mentioned there, obviously, a sort of a fresh voice and pair of eyes. I mean, you've been in football long enough, Denny. I mean, how important is that to, not just the staff, but the players as well?
I think it's vitally important, and obviously, after a disappointing performance against Morpeth, getting beat 3-0, it was it's getting down to the nitty gritty, and just to be able to freshen it up. Obviously, speaking with Bully, he mentioned that he would have liked to have freshened things up a little bit more with play wise, but unfortunately the transfer deadline is closed, so you can't do that. So the next best thing is to get a new voice and a new pair of eyes from the outside looking in during a training session. Gives him a chance to take a step back. I come in, take the session, getting a different voice before the game, at half time and after the game. And it's sort of, if you can't change things on the pitch, then is there a possibility to change things off it? And thankfully, he was open to the idea. Yeah,
and obviously, a lot of Whitby fans will remember you from your season at the club a while ago now, 2009-10, Denny. But certainly, as a player, you were somewhat, very much a winner and a bit no nonsense, shall we say? I think it's probably the fair way of putting it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I take it that's something you bring into your coaching side of the game as well.
Absolutely, fundamentals, work hard. Be proud of the badge that you're playing for, and leave everything out there, and if players do that, I'll back them all the way, and fans will, if they see players running through brick walls and giving 110% every single week, every single training session, every single match, then, you know, they can sort of accept the odd poor performance. But like I said to the boys on Saturday, at this stage of the season, don't worry about formations, don't worry about tactics. It's all about heart, desire, and coming away with the 3 points at the end of the day.
So obviously, you were in the dugout for your first game on Saturday, Hyde United, a 1-1 draw on that. I mean, what were your reflections on the game as a whole?
I think it was two teams that were desperate not to lose. Obviously, very, very difficult conditions with the wind. You know, we got off to a great start. Possibly could have gone another one up. We hit the post with Harley. You know, and then they go down the other end straight away. And we concede a real sloppy goal, to be fair. We didn't get tight in the wide areas. We've allowed him too much space, too much time to put a ball in. The ball bobbled, hit his shin, rolled right across the front of our goal, and obviously poor to concede in that regard. But I thought second half, to a man, they stood up to the challenge, and they give everything they had to make sure that we come away with a point.
Yeah, and obviously that was something in the second half that Lee Bullock referenced, was obviously doing everything they could to protect Shane Bland as well, who, you know, credit to him, he carried on and did everything he could on the afternoon, and the defence, credit to them for limiting Hyde just to one shot that he had to save.
Absolutely. You know, and it's one of them things that happens when you're down at the bottom and you sort of up against it, is everything conspires against you. Blandy going down first half after 35 minutes. Managed to battle on through. But like you said, all credit goes to the back four in the midfield. I thought Leighton Watson midfield was fantastic. Ollie Dawson got around the pitch and did well, and has he, you know, got in and about them and limited chances. And like you say, is one shot on goal from a free kick. You've got to take a lot of credit out of it.
So moving on then, it's Leek Town away at the weekend. A tough away trip, obviously Leek banging form, but ultimately the message is simple, isn't it, really? I mean, it's as simple as we have to bet a Morpeth's result, and that's survival guaranteed.
And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Not about performances, not about, you know, individual gains. It's all about the team and making sure that you're walking away at 5 o'clock with the right result to ensure that you stay in the league. You know, you're going to go to the league, not an easy place to go. They're going to be big, strong, powerful, and we've got to stand up to the test. And obviously, second half against Hyde on Saturday is proved, because I think after the game against Morpeth, that was a question mark, is did it mean enough? Certainly I saw in the second half on Saturday that, you know, it actually does mean enough. And the lads, I'm sure, will go out there on Saturday and give everything they've got to ensure that we come away with, you know, the right result that'll make us survive this season.
Absolutely, and obviously it was a bit of a sparse sort of squad on Saturday afternoon. There was only a couple of players brought off the bench, and I think the rest were sort of junior players. Obviously, Lee Bullock mentioned that there might be a couple of extra bodies back at the weekend as well, so that'll be a boost too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's no disrespect to the young boys that are on the bench, because they've been involved and they've done a job. But in the situation that we're in, you know, ideally, should we be bringing Jason on at 39-year-old? Probably not, but I had a conversation with Bully and said, look, a little bit of experience, a little bit of know-how, and I think it paid off, you know, in the last 10, 12 minutes that he was on the pitch. Could have even scored, really. Should have done better. We had a bit of a giggle after the game and saying he got into a great position, he's got to be doing better. But just his know-how and his experience of protecting the ball, doing what's needed to ensure that we're in possession and we're not giving cheap possession back to Hyde to then go and counter attack and you know, like I say, he came on and done a fantastic job. But again, you know, hopefully Gelly Jarrett will be back on Saturday in and around the squad. Whether they're ready to start, who knows? But like I said, it's not about individual gains. It's not about tactics or performances. It's about the 3 points, and if we can get a squad together that'll get us over the line come 5 o'clock on Saturday, then that's the most important thing.
This is the Codcast.
Smith with the effort!
Denny Ingram speaking to Paul after his return to the dugout for Whitby Town on Saturday. And I also caught up with the scorer in Saturday's game. That's Jake Charles. So, Jake, obviously we look back on Saturday's game, and 2 positives, of course, for yourself personally, scoring for the Blues, and probably a pretty useful point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we started well as a team on Saturday. We set the tone early on, and obviously I got the early goal. Obviously the wind played a huge factor in the game, and it was kind of a game of 2 halves in terms of that with the wind. But you probably say on the face of it, looking back, reviewing it, it is a good point in the grand scheme of things. Yeah,
and obviously a dream start with that opening goal. You took very confidently on the turn. I mean, as a striker, 6 minutes gone, you score the opening goal. The absolute perfect way to begin the game. And I guess you played the other 84 minutes with a real spring in your step.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a striker, obviously, your main kind of focus is to be getting the goals. So when you get that early doors, it does give you a bit more confidence and a spring in your step. But it was a shame we couldn't really add to that tally. Obviously, we created a few chances in the first half as well. And I think in the second, we only had 1 or 2 because we couldn't really get out of our half because of the wind in the main. But, we held well solid at the back in the second half. And like you say, it's a point further away from that relegation zone going into Saturday.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you'd just like to say a quick word about Harley and the work that he did in the build-up to the goal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me and Harley have been kind of trying to get those balls down the channel in the last few games, and sometimes it paid off, and sometimes it didn't. But obviously that time, it was a great little ball over the defender's shoulder, and thankfully I managed to find a bit of space and then obviously finish it off.
Yeah, and compared with Monday, I think night and day in terms of performance. It seemed a lot better from everybody. I mean, what do you think the big change was in between?
I think it's hard to say sometimes. Obviously, at our level, a lot of factors can affect the game. We were playing Friday, Monday. We put a lot of energy into that Friday game at home, and obviously ended up losing the game after that last 10 minutes. But and then Monday, I think we just kind of never, we had a couple of early chances. Harley had one cleared off the line. If they go in, is it a different story? But yeah, I think we're kind of learning, and we know that we've got to be on it. We've got to be performing, 7, 8 out of 10 across the board if we're going to get results in these last 2 games. And we've all got to be on it, pulling together and grafting as a unit.
Indeed, and then we look ahead to the weekend. Another huge game down at Leek Town, a side that we went to last season and won, but unfortunately they had pretty comfortable win over us at our place earlier this season.
Yeah, I mean, in this league, in quite a lot of leagues, if you're not on it, you will get beat. You've got to be on it from the start to finish, and if we're not, then we've seen what happens. So we've got to go down there with the intention to win the game, obviously. Start well, be organised, and ruthless in both boxes, and take the game to them. We've got to be getting a win on Saturday, and I don't know what it does in terms of defining our survival, but it certainly steps us in the right place, doesn't it?
Indeed, yeah. I think a win would put us with at least 1 foot in the back in the NPL Premier for next season, and as you said, depending on the results, it might just rubber stamp that. There seems to have been maybe a little bit of a shift in training in the past week. Lee Bullock was very keen to get Denny Ingram in, respected, experienced coach, and from what I hear, there were good sessions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think another opinion doesn't harm anything from a coaching perspective. I think, and we had a good week of training. We'll do the same again this week and prepare properly for Saturday. And then it's down to us as players to produce on Saturday once the coaching staff have prepared us the best they can. So yeah, all eyes on Saturday now.
Absolutely, and I suppose from a personal perspective, the goal that you scored last week, it takes you level with Matty Timon at the top of the scorers chart for the club. Obviously, he's moved on now, so I guess that's another little challenge, a little personal goal for yourself. Whether you can get to the top of the scorers chart, get a couple more goals, get into double figures for the season, and you can look back and maybe think it's been a pretty decent campaign.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I want to get that goal, not just for myself, but for the team and ensure we are in this league next year. Like I said, I mean, when you're on that pitch, you're just trying to do everything you can for the team. It's not kind of focusing on kind of sole goals. It's just trying to get that win over line. So whatever it takes, if I can get the ball in the back of the net, that's what I'm going to be aiming to do. And anything that comes after that is a bonus, I suppose.
This is the Codcast.
As Jake Charles speaking to myself, the man on target there in that 1-1 draw with Hyde. Hopefully he can go one better and get to the top of the scoring charts for this season. We look ahead to Saturday's game. It's another big game. We go to Leek Town, and one of the form sides in the NPL Premier. As it stands, they are just adrift of the playoff places. They can't get there, despite whatever they do in those last two games. But they are a very dangerous side on a good run of form. And of course, they beat us 3-0 at our place, Liam, earlier in the season.
Yeah, they certainly did. I mean, they've had a few personnel changes. Tunde Owalabi, who scored in that one, also scored for Hyde against Whitby on Saturday, just gone. But a bit of a strainer in with Leek, because only a few weeks ago you sort of look at them and view them as a potential, relegation contender with ourselves. You sort of had them in that battle, but all of a sudden they've won a few games and completely shot at the table, which, I suppose example for Whitby of this is what you could have done had we been able to string a run of results together, which wasn't the case, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, hopefully for them, or from our point of view, shall we say, maybe they can just take the foot off the gas. That would be nice. Yeah. But I'm sure they're going to be trying to end the season as strongly as possible. Going into next season now, that's what they're looking ahead to. So, you can go one of two ways. You have teams that sort of just really have nothing to play for, and you can tell with the performances. But at the moment, it really seems like they're just trying to build up a good run of form to end the season. So, it's not going to be easy by any stretch, but Whitby know that, especially where this season, we've gone to some tough places and won, and, hopefully we can do the same on Saturday, or at least just take, again, a positive result from it, because, it's a massive weekend. It's a weekend where, with a bit of luck from elsewhere, alongside a good result from us, we could secure our survival. Morpeth's really the big one, isn't it? The other side, they can kind of do what they want, because it's the team in the bottom three, isn't it, that you've got to keep your eyes on. That's where you don't want to get, because with all due respect, you're probably looking at Stocksbridge and Prescott and thinking, they're all but gone. Their size, ultimately we can't, they're too far away. It is just that last relegation spot, which is currently occupied by Morpeth, that you're looking at, and really, the reality is that essentially Whitby just have to better their result, don't they? Obviously, if a win for both, that's no good, but even a draw for Whitby and a defeat for Morpeth, that does the job. So that's the one you're really looking at. As much as it doesn't solve the relegation equation elsewhere, that's what Whitby need to do ultimately. But obviously, as we know all too well, a good chunk of that's out of our control, and Rush are a very strange side, aren't they? Where they've, a few weeks ago you're looking thinking they may well be the side to go because they had no form, but then they've gone and picked up a win when you least expect it. So, that'll be an interesting game, that one. I'm sure we'll be keeping a keen eye on it. But like I say, the task with Whitby is just go and make sure you get a positive result, and hopefully with a bit of luck, Morpeth can go and I suppose really ideally lose the game. But if we are to win, a draw does it, and that's that. But as we know all too well, whatever results we want, it's rare they go your way. So it's gonna be another nervy weekend. But it'd just be nice, if we can just avoid at all costs going to that last weekend, needing a result desperately.
Absolutely, yes, for the sake of our nerves. But I think effectively, if, as Liam said, if Whitby better Morpeth's result, they know they're staying up there, and I think it would be extremely unlucky if Whitby were to win at Leek and still have a chance of going down. I think that's extremely unlikely. So we keep a very close eye on that one, of course, and it goes without saying, live commentary on This Is the Coast Extra from 3 p.m. from Leek Town with Paul, Liam, and the rest of the media team there for anyone who can't make the trip down to Staffordshire. Also, lots going on off the field as well, with a number of roles advertised online. We're looking for a secretarial role, I suppose you would say, but also a commercial manager's role as well.
Yeah, so just on the volunteer coordinator role that Paul mentioned there, it's actually come to light that an individual has applied for this role, may also be a very suitable fit for the club secretary role. Basically, we got in touch. The process for applying is just sort of, don't upload your CV, but sort of just tell us a bit about what you've done previously. And so it's come to light that he might actually be a good fit for that. But also as well, it does. That's the sort of role that, if anything, sort of suits someone that's perhaps retired and got more time on their hands, but also open to sort of working with the volunteers as well. So that's got a real exciting one there. I mean, just on that, I know it hasn't sort of been officially confirmed, but you may have seen a statement about Turnbull's Bar. Just sort of to reiterate there that Steve Shield will be departing the club at the end of the season. So thanks to him, and I'm sure he'll be really supportive in sort of a handover, if you like, for however the new club secretary is moving forwards. But yeah, good plans on that. And then the other role that we've advertised as well so far, that commercial manager role, which really is a key part of the club, isn't it, in terms of ensuring we've got income coming in, and having sort of that rapport with supporters, and sponsors rather, and the local businesses. So that's going to be a key one as well. I mean, the blessing for that one, whoever comes in for there, will be that they've already got a bit of a head start, because the commercial brochure is already out there. There's a couple of sponsorship deals already going on, but moving forward, you'll have sort of a chance to really put your own stamp on that. And another role that hasn't actually been advertised yet, but it's going to be imminent. It'll first get mentioned at the next supporters club meeting, but a supporter liaison officer is a role that's just sort of come to light. Really, it was suggested by a member of the local community, and we actually thought that's a good idea. So it's sort of one that that has that rapport essentially between supporters and the board ultimately, so they can come to board meetings and represent what supporters are saying. We'll have a designated sort of email address set up for that as well, which will be a real bonus. So yeah, plenty of chance for people to get involved with the club. I mean, if anyone else has any other sort of role suggestions, then they can get in touch. The info@whitbytownfc.com email address is now live again. So you can just drop an email there if you want to apply for any of the roles that have been advertised, or if you've got any ideas of sort of potential roles that you feel may be beneficial to the club, then yeah, would love to hear them. But like you say, lots going on. But it's certainly, I think, exciting times, I think, for the club moving forwards. Had to ride a bit of a storm this last year or so, but I feel that we're getting there, and hopefully these new roles and sort of fresh blood, if you like, that may really be beneficial to the club moving forwards.
Fantastic. Sounds really positive. Thank you very much to all my guests this week, to Paul Connolly, to Liam Ryder, to Lee Bullock, to Jake Charles, and to Denny Ingram, as well as you for listening. Just a reminder again, Saturday 3 p.m, it is Leek Town versus Whitby Town. If you can't make it down to Staffordshire, we've got live commentary on This Is the Coast Extra with the media team from 3 p.m. But until next week, it is bye for now.